I think the importance of caregiving and taking care of yourself as a caregiver, my father learned, and fortunately not the hard way, that you have to take care of yourself, or you cannot take care of your loved one.
Yeah.
And it is vital that you find time away, even if it's just for a few hours. And that's not to go run errands, or it's to go have lunch with a friend. It's to go for a walk alone so you can just meditate. Because you need that time away, because I'm sure you realize how much time you spend thinking about what to do with mom, what's next, where is mom, what am I going to feed her for lunch, what am I mean, we all do that. And it's difficult and exhausting. And we have talked, and you mentioned the respite care that's available from Alzheimer's Arkansas, and I can't encourage that enough. And we can go into details later about how you do that, but you know, usually you have friends who will say, well, just let me stay with your mom for a while. And you go, oh, no, no, no. Really, nothing's going to happen that they can't handle or call you. Take advantage of the help you're offered. I'd like to talk a little bit about making a decision to place your loved one in skilled care. Terrible thing to have to decide, without a doubt. And my experience tells me that the thing they have a problem with the most is that, well, they just don't pay enough attention to her, him. They don't, she doesn't like to eat at whatever time. Well, those are adjustments you have to make, but nobody will ever care for your loved one like you do. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. So tough decision, very tough, but better to do it than you end up in the hospital
Right.
and gone. I always say to people, well, what's your loved one going to do when you have a heart attack, or you're in the hospital? What are you going to do then? Yeah, and that's more of those things that go through your head all the time. But I think that's important, and it's important to understand that caregivers in facilities do care, and they become very attached to residents. I'm not sure you can ever be at ease. Maybe not.
Right.
But it is typically, it's going to end up being for the best, both for you and for your loved one, because there are so many things available at facilities that you can't provide or can't afford to provide, and they are skilled and trained to care with people for dementia, with dementia. I can't talk today. But they also, I don't know how, I can't remember how recently this was, but they did pass a law that caregivers, nursing assistants, aides in facilities have to take a certain number of hours of training in dementia care. It's part of their job training that must happen. Then the facility must provide it. So know that they've learned or are learning, and know that their intentions are good. I think that means the most. Their intentions are good. And if just because when you get there, you don't see them talking to your loved one, they might be talking to somebody else's loved one because it's their turn or their time. And the other thing I would say is, once you've made that decision, do it, and then visit, but not on a schedule. You will find yourself more comfortable if you go at various times of the day and see what's going on. If you go at the same time every day, it's great to go have lunch with your loved one, but you don't see what happens the whole rest of the day.
Good point.
And I have that's always my best advice to people who are considering skilled care is get recommendations from friends and family and anybody you know that's had to make that choice, and then make the move, and then visit regularly but irregularly. Anything you learn from other people who have been down the road is absolutely the best information you can get, because they can give you feedback from experience, and it's not just a to-do list. Every time that somebody new starts, they come in and sometimes I think we overload them with information because we want to be helpful so badly that we want to help them get through the process, because it's tough. It's tough every day, every hour of every day. So support groups are your friend, literally. Are your friend. And you do make contact with people, and it depends on the group, but some groups share phone numbers completely, and people are available. And we know that Alzheimer's Association has 24/7 support. And so while it's not a group, it's caregiver support when things are just off the rails. And you're right about the relationship changes, and as time goes on, you more and more find yourself not being the parent, but being the parent. And that's really a tough stage, to honor your loved one, like you say, not treat them like a toddler, but maybe care for them in that, you do the laundry, you get the groceries, you're taking care of them as if they were a child again, but you can't treat them as a child. And that's a tough tightrope to walk a lot of times, because and you never know from 1 minute to the next which half of that you're doing. There are still days. I'll back up. I moved to Little Rock after my parents moved here. Single mom, and I moved here to be closer to them because I had teenage daughters. And it was the first time I had ever lived in the same city as my parents as an adult. And then pretty quickly I saw the decline in my mother. And man, I was mad. I was like, I could finally be my mother's friend. We could, and no, it's gone. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And, I'd get up in the morning, take a shower, and just cry, because my mother was drifting away. I won't say pretty quickly, because like your mother, she was in extremely good health. But my father also said, he said, when my mother died, I have grieved for almost 12 years. And I'm done grieving, because the person who just passed was not the person I loved and married and lived with and had kids with and enjoyed life. So the grief, and it hits at the strangest times.